this side. Let me see this side. So the name of the book is Saving Your Future, and it is a very quick, easy read. Most of you should have received an ebook version of this book. The version that you have on the ebook is a little dated. There are newer editions with more current statistics of how things are for us as a country and the world as a country. But just to note that the reference that you're looking at is just the first edition. Eventually you will get your original book and you'll be able to utilize the current information, but the book is basically word for word verbatim. It's just that the numbers and maybe the time reference might look different. Okay, so it's the basic principles of building a financial future. And with that, this company, World System Builders, is dedicated to educating people on financial literacy free. And just to give you a better introduction on what you know or what you think you know or what you don't know about how the financial industry works and how you're navigating your life when it comes to your monies and the vehicles that work with your money. The first part of the book on the page, it says, according to recent surveys, North Americans are facing serious challenges. Well, it's not only North America, but Canada. But in the book, we're not going to reference any of the Canada information because the financial campaign that we're doing is throughout the United States and Canada. And it's been working very, very good since we have all of these tools for you guys to learn from. But if you go down to where it says most of us, and we're on page 1 for the introduction, it says most of us don't wait to become a statistic. We kind of naturally fall into it. We kind of get our problems and we get things that happen to us both financially and non-financially just by living day to day. So a lot of us don't know how to get out of those problems, and a lot of times we're using the tools, we're just not using them in the most correct way. And then you wonder why some people are doing well and you're not. So this book hopefully will be a tool that will give you a lot of information and the tools to implement them. And the sad thing is that the second paragraph talks about how ironic it is that we live in one of the wealthiest countries, but many, many people have problems. People go to work, they put in 40 hours, they put in whatever amount of hours, they get paid weekly, bi-weekly, and they still retire poor as they age because they don't have good habits or they don't use the tools that would make them have financial security in a better place. And then we teach our kids the same day. So I'm not going to go through the book with you and read line by line. I am going to do talking points. I want you to read these passages as I try to go through them. And if you're having any problems hearing, please let me know. Okay? They can't hear me.
And some people are having trouble signing on.
Okay. So if you're having problems hearing me, I have the girls working behind me to make sure our technology is working at the best pace that it can to make sure everybody hears. I do not have control over your audio settings. You have that control on your side. So when you enter, you have to allow it to let audio through the internet work, okay? Or through your phone. I'm not really sure how that setting is, but you do have to approve the audio. So if you're having that problem, just let somebody know. The second thing you can do is you can log out and log back in and re-change your setting, okay? So again, I just want to touch back on that one area about, you know, where we are as a country, how we're suffering, and we suffer through ignorance. And that doesn't mean people are stupid. They've just been never given these types of tools. And sometimes these tools aren't provided to us as we grow up, because we don't know much and we don't know how much we know. And nobody, again, teaches us in school. Financial issues sometimes are not discussed at the dinner table or in families or even at work. A lot of times you have employers, they give you these packages, they say these are your benefits, they don't explain them to you, and you get these things, and then you start making money and you put money in your checking account or your savings account, and sometimes you still don't understand how that works because you think the bank is your friend. A lot of times we buy things with our monies, like insurance policies, and we hide them somewhere. We don't know how they work. If you have a retirement package, you don't really read through it. And a lot of times people don't know how to figure out why their things are not working because we are ignorant to how to use the tools, and the people that are providing these tools sometimes do not discuss these things with us, okay? So, part of what we're learning here is, just trying to get you to slow down and look at what you got, okay? I have to change screens because these 2 pages that you're looking at, the first 2 pages, are from the current book, and then I need to go to the second screenshot so I can get to the rest of the book. Bear with me. Okay. Here we are. Okay, start sharing. Okay, oh no, that's the same one. Stop. Close this one all the way. Okay, can you guys see this? Nod if you can. Okay, that's fine. Leave it up. All right. So I'm going to skip these 2 pages here because we covered the first page. One of the things that we suggest to people is to look at the introduction or the table of contents of the book to see all of the things that are going to be discussed in this book. And if you have the e-version in front of you, or if you're working from 2 devices, you'll be able to see that it is a lot of stuff that we cover. And we say that this little blue book, which is only 80 some pages, covers everything from A through Z. So these are some of the things that we're going to be discussing, not all today. We are going to do this in sections because it is a lot of information. And a lot of these things have been looked at through CPA firms and a lot of financial advisor companies and things like that to make sure that the information gathered is solid. Okay, this is tangible, factual stuff. Okay, and we're not making any of this stuff up through what we think we know. Okay, so this page that we're starting on now is a continuance of the other 2 pages that we were discussing a few minutes ago. So a lot of times what we discuss and okay. A lot of times let me just, I don't need this. A lot of times we don't know that, we get very comfortable with our situations in life. We don't really try to do any investigations on why things aren't working. But what we do is we get paid and then we go spend. So we're real active spenders, but really, really bad about being a saver, and we call those passive savers. And that's because we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of times people think, well, nothing's going to change. And what the misnomer around that is that things have changed. Things have changed on a drastic basis. Financially, technology has changed. People's lifestyles have changed. We have social media involved. And so a lot of the information that could be useful to you gets flooded into all of these different channels, and you can't look at everything all the time. So it becomes a jungle of complex information and ideas and guidelines. You know, what do things really work? Like, how are credit cards working? I mean, how does a bank really work? Do you know what saving and investing is about? Do you understand health insurance? Do you understand what your benefit packages through retirement are? Do you even have an idea what retirement is going to look like for you? So a lot of times this stuff is not discussed, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy to learn all of this. All I'm saying is that you're taking some steps to get the most potential reference to start you looking at it differently, okay? So one of the things we want you to really consider too, and if you're not following in the book, but we want you to remember one thing. There's nobody more interested in your financial future than you are. The government, your employer, they could really care less. You are expendable and replaceable. So you think that you have job security, but you know what? Not necessarily so. And if you look at this pandemic, how it knocked everybody to the left side, and now people are going to try to figure out what their recovery is going to look like and what the new normal will look like, you're going to find out that it's not going to be an easy transition just to walk back into your normal life as it once was, okay? And so it's your responsibility to look at money and look at your life and see how you're applying things both for security as well as, you know, the protection of your family and things like that, and understand how it works and take control of it, not let somebody else control it because you feel like they're an expert and you really don't understand what they do. You just want them to do something. So we want you to learn more so you can take care of yourself a little bit better. We are living in a new world, and when I say a new world, this page refers to a reference of time. There have been many, many hiccups along the journey of people's lives. Some of you might be too young to understand that during the year 2000, everybody thought the world was going to come to an end because of the technology buzz for computers and things like that. And they really didn't get that computers don't control time or the world, but there were certain things that they believed. So people did some drastic things. Then we had 9/11, which was also a horrific time in history. And as things moved on and people evolved from 9/11, we ran into the housing crash, which is in 2008. So a lot of times you'll hear people say they suffered from some type of a system breakdown in the world, not just in their personal thing. And because of it, there were certain losses and things that occurred for them. But over the years, things they wind up, you know, evolving and getting better. So we know with this pandemic, things might get better. We just don't know when, okay? Because it's the new whatever that has turned things around. The other thing is, a lot of people are living longer. I'm a baby boomer. So we have a bunch of people that are going into retirement right now. And so there's a big influx of people, you know, needing additional services or trying to figure out how to get beyond some of these hiccups. And if they did not do things in a prepared fashion, they might be struggling down the road. So like I said, I'm a baby boomer, but you might have people that are a little bit younger than me. Those people are called Generation X. And those people are usually career-minded. They're working a job. They have stability. Those are our parents or your parents. For people who are in their 20s and things like that. And they might have some job security, but you know, if something goes wrong with them, if any of them get sick, or if they have to help you take care of some of your problems, you're taking care of your parents as well as taking care of your kids. And so for those people born in Generation X, it's an extra struggle because now you have to look at other things that mean more duties for you in your life. Then we have the millennials, which are people who are probably in their mid-20s. And of course, there's a lot of things that millennials do that are great. This whole tech world is driven by the millennial population. And a lot of people are successful, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are lost along the way because they can't keep up, or they have other challenges in life that did not allow them to move forward. And the other thing is, with millennials, you don't have job security because automation is taking over your jobs. I mean, a lot of times you think companies are going to need you to work, and what they do is they wind up putting machines to work to do the job that you could probably do. So that means that employer or that owner does not have to put that money out. It's more cost effective for them. So when you think about software, you think about automation, you think about social media, you think about all these things, we really need to kind of look at it differently than the way we're using it, okay? A lot of people are making money on social media, but I'm just saying you really need to look at it differently if it's not benefiting you. You put a lot of money out and somebody's benefit from it's not you. The other thing is the job security. Unemployment is what it is. Did anybody hear, besides me, that there are 30 million people that applied for unemployment since this pandemic? What is the percentage of people that are going to actually be able to go back to work? And how long is the government going to be supportive of these people when the pandemic was not something that we created? So there's time for a new awakening, and it's time for self-security. Self-security, and if I'm going too fast, let me know, but I only have a certain amount of time to go through this. Self-security looks like this. What is your personal savings? Are you living paycheck to paycheck, right? This stool represents most of the self-security issues that people have. Either they have personal savings that are at zero. If they're older, they're depending on Social Security, which is a control mechanism. And companies with retirement packages and pensions aren't treating people the way they initially set up to operate. So a lot of times, well, like I said before earlier, that if you have a retirement package like a 401k or a 403b, they give you these huge packages, tell you fill it out and turn it in. And then you think that they're helping you with your retirement. But if you're not paying close attention to it, you might retire poor. The other thing with pensions, they don't want to go broke. So what they decide is a percentage of what you are worthy of for your pension. So you don't even get the 100 reimbursement that you put in or vested into the pension plan, because they keep some of your money and they base a percentage of what they think you did well as far as returning your package of whatever your retirement would include. And there are many things that you can do with that, which are discussed further in the book. Government programs. Now, we're not going to talk about Canada. We are going to talk about Social Security. Social Security is in trouble. It's in serious trouble. When this program was initially put together, it used to be 40 people contributing to one person's Social Security benefits. That ratio has changed. It is now maybe 2.5 to 3 people to one person. And if you look at the density of people that are tying into the Social Security system through retirement or disability or whatever factors that allow them to get the benefits from Social Security, it is in dire shape, and the government controls it, and it could collapse at any time. So all 3 of these areas are.
I need to explain that 40 people to 3 Americans the way you explained it to us yesterday.
Okay. This is an overview, okay? We're going to go back through this. We can go through it on one-on-one, or we can go through it. We can do the presentation again. It's a lot of information. That's why I'm just trying to get through it so you guys get an overview. We really want you to read these pages in this book. And when you get the book, if there are questions, write questions in your book so I can come back and help you, or the team can come back and help you, because we want you to learn this. So again, Social Security is in trouble because of the density of people that are pulling money from it, okay? And I'm not gonna stay on every area too long. So basically what you understand is that you make money, some people save money. Money can grow, but if it's growing and you wanna keep it, you need to protect it. And so those financial concepts, most of the time, are not being discussed. They're being, people try to put it to the back burner. They don't have a discipline or a patience to learn the fundamentals. And that's what this educational program that we're offering is going to give you. And, everybody deserves a chance to understand what financial independence looks like. It might not be your dream, but it should be your priority to take control of your future. So one of the things we talk about, and this is where the tools start coming in, is a financial foundation, right? And so for a financial foundation, people don't know what it is. They think, you're hearing me say it, right? But most people do things from the top down. They think, oh, well, I need to make some extra money, or, I got to find an extra hustle, whatever. So maybe investment is a way that you look at it. But If you start your house from the top and go and build it down, the house is not going to be able to stand on its own 2 feet because it has no foundation. So we want people to flip that around and look at what building a foundation is, and then the layers that go on top of that look like, so they can have a more solid footing around what they're trying to do. First of all, people don't know what's coming down the road. We come into the world, we know that, we're born as children, our parents are responsible for us. Maybe we have a good life, maybe they have a good life and you do well, but a lot of times you don't know what's coming. So proper protection is really important. Sometimes we protect all the things that don't mean anything to us more than an extension of a hand or our mind, like a cell phone. We have to protect ourselves if we have car insurance. It's the law. You cannot drive without car insurance. But at the end of the day, who bought the car? Who bought the phone? You did. If you're not protected, those things don't really matter, because if you're not there, you won't use them. All right. And what if you are there and something happens in life? Like, a lot of people are going to come back from this pandemic and have some real health issues because of the way it is. And then what about the people that are already born disabled or get disabled throughout their life? Or what if they have like a series of health problems or premature death? If there's no protection there, there's no stability. If you are the breadwinner of your family and you do not have the proper protection, and nobody else is bringing in that cash to do everything that it is to care for your family, you're in trouble. And you are the breadwinner, and they will lose if something drastic happens to you. So you definitely need to think about proper protection. And then if you have debt, your debt doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear if you think that you don't look at it anymore. You kick it to a back burner. What happens to that debt? It becomes a liability for you, and you have to figure out what to do with it. It definitely needs to be worked on, and urgency should be looked at, because you'll never have a clear future financially if you don't. The other thing is, if you've taken care of your protection and your debt, you need to have some security of a cushion, saying that if something happens, you can't go to work, you can't work anymore, that you have monies that will sustain you until you get whatever you need to be in order for your life in order, okay? And that doesn't always come easily, because a lot of people don't even have money for the next month's rent, okay? Because they're living paycheck to paycheck. So you need to see what that looks like. And in the book, it says 3 to 6 months of income. I say a year. You need to be able to cover yourself for a year, because you don't know what's going to happen. And you want to have that emergency cushion. Many people from this pandemic had nothing when it hit. And then you saw them go to the stores. You saw them, get in food lines. You saw them, ask people to, help them or whatever, because they did not have an emergency fund or a cushion to work with. And they don't know how to do that. So, you get all of these things in place, you clear up your debt, you protect yourself, and you build up this emergency fund. If there is extra money after doing all of this work, you've done whatever you needed to do, and you got some cash flow coming in, you got some cushion there, then you want to talk about, getting your money to start working for you. That's called investing, okay? Investing is not just the stock market. It's telling your money or using your money where your money is working while you're sleeping, okay? Your money is doing the job for you. So you need to look at those things and see how those options work too. And in this book, we cover a lot of things. So, your priority is to really do your protection and make sure that things are good there. And then if there are other things in this pyramid that need to be addressed, you deal with them one thing at a time, okay? After all of that is done, you will have a very strong constitution around what your foundation looks like, and you'll be able to make wiser decisions and hopefully teach these same tools to your children or to other family members so they can do the same thing, because we all know someone that's struggling. And I think the biggest problem that people are struggling with is they don't understand how money works. And this wealth formula is a standard formula that was created because people need to see what it looks like. For some people, like young people, they think money grows on trees. And a lot of you know that we do not grow tree monies. I mean, they have something called a money tree plant, but those aren't real dollars, okay? There's nothing growing on there but leaves, all right? So that money doesn't come anywhere, but it does come from when you trade time at a job or you do some type of work and you get compensated for it. And that's usually a plus because you want to get paid. You want to be reimbursed or reconciled for the work that you've done. But how does that work when you get paid and then you pay all your bills and then, you know, you need more money? It's like a vicious cycle. You keep doing it over and over and over. The other thing is, for money to grow, it needs a rate of return. A lot of people don't know what a rate of return is, how it works. The rate of return in the United States is about 3.5%. So that doesn't mean the bank is going to give you 3.5% on the money that you got. That's how much it costs for you to have a value in the dollar that you're spending. That's what you're spending at. And you know that because of inflation, which is a suck monster. Inflation sucks everything out of your money, and the rate of return kind of controls that. The other thing is taxes. We all got that uncle that we don't like, and he's always taking money from you with sales tax. If it's, anything that, has a tax percentage to it, your income tax, all of that money is sucked from you to say, take care of them, but we don't even understand what it is because a lot of people don't understand taxes. When you put this formula together, money plus time, minus or plus the rate of return, then minus inflation and minus taxes, whatever's left is what you're worth in wealth. And a lot of people don't know what that look like. And so moving forward in the book, we're going to talk about money, all right? What money it does, what it shouldn't do, how the things work with it, and why is it that you don't have anything left for savings, or you spent it all before you've known what to do with it. We're going to talk a lot about money, but the first thing you need to know in order for you to learn to save better and understand what saving looks like is if you go out to your job on a daily basis and you come home after the week is done, after 2 weeks is done, and you get paid, who do you pay first? Why do you pay your job money, hard work that you put in? Why do you pay that out to someone else before you pay yourself? You need to learn to pay yourself first. And when we say pay yourself first, we say 5 to 10%. So basically what I explain to all of my clients that I talk to is 5%, 10% could be 1 hour's wage of your daily pay. You take 1 hour's wage every day away from your daily pay. And before you pay your bills, you put that to the side. That is your savings, right? Because you went out there and worked, and as soon as you go out there and work and you come home, you get paid and you pay somebody else, you usually have nothing left. That's why people see nothing at the end of a pay cycle, because they're always paying money out instead of taking care of what needs to be taken care of, which is you, and putting something away for a rainy day. You pay your cable bills, your gas bill, whatever bills they are, you do pay them, but you pay them from the allotted money that's left over after you pay yourself. And don't cheat yourself, be fair. If you make $15 an hour, then you take 15 times 5 a week. If you get paid bi-weekly, you do that for 10 days, and whatever that chunk of money is, that's what you put on the side, and then you pay your bills. The other thing we tell people, buy what you need. I cannot tell you how sensitive this subject is right here, and I'm not going to get on it right now, but you need to buy what you need. You need to understand in the beginning, you're taking some steps to change some of the things that you've been doing that haven't been working with you. So if you have a lot of things and they're good right now, you don't have to keep up with Mr. and Mrs. Jones. You don't have to have the latest technology. You can buy it when your cushion is there and you have extra money. But for the time being, since you're trying to work on yourself, buy only what you need. I mean, we're not telling you to starve. We're not telling you to deprive yourself, but buy only what you need until you get in the position to do more. And a lot of times people say, well, I need this, I need that. That's fine. But you know what? Baby steps. You got to take baby steps when you do this. Small changes makes big money. Okay. So we use this analogy, and you're going to see some blue boxes coming up where there's some examples of things that I'm talking about, just to give you an idea. what I tell all of my people is to take the numbers that you have and put them into these equations just to get a projection or some kind of visual so you can understand what your potential savings could be if you did certain things. In this example here, at 8%, this is 8% in a vehicle that is going to make your money grow, you're saving $10 a day. $10 a day is $300 a month. At the end of 30 years, if you just put $300 away a month into something that's growing at 8%, the dollar amount speaks for itself, $447,000. Use your own numbers though. This is just an example. If you doubled that $10 to $20 and you saved $600 a month at the same percentage for 30 years, you have almost $900,000, $94,000. That's a lot of money. That could be a decent retirement for some people, including what they might get through a retirement package. You would, have a layer of things, right? So a lot of times people have, habits or they have, things that they feel are necessities, and they're really not. If you just take one or two things away, whatever that is, it could be snack food, it could be a coffee, it could be, your weekly lunch that you buy from outside, right? If you just take those little dollars amounts away and you start saving it, what would the potential savings look like if you put it into a vehicle that will allow it to work for you while you're sleeping? What would that look like? And a lot of that is discussed further in the book. So the thing of it is, time is money, right? You think you got a lot of time. I know that a lot of you on this call are young. I know that you're not in my age group, but even if you are, time is money, all right? And the sooner you start to save, the better for you, okay? Procrastination is the enemy. We all procrastinate, including myself. When I first looked at this educational platform, I was in denial, okay? And denial was my middle name, but I started to kind of come around based on some of the tools and stuff that I'm learning. And for me, I'm always learning, but I love the fact that I can teach this and help people get into a better headspace or mindset around what they're already doing, just, using the right language and then putting it in the right category. So nobody's telling you to get rich quick. We're all talking about getting rich slowly or building some kind of foundation very slowly, because again, trees don't grow big overnight. So, there are a lot of get rich gimmicks out there, and a lot of people, I want to start a business, I want to do this, I want to buy a house, but you can't do house buying or you can't do business building if you don't have all the right things in place as far as a mindset and a discipline on how things work. And again, people want to look at, I'm going to go to Atlantic City, I'm going to gamble, I want to make some money, but you know what? All of that might be good, but if you don't know how to use that money after you want it, you haven't learned anything. So you need to put in a plan to discipline yourself, use some action, and set some goals, okay? And do it, where it's comfortable for you. This next example is just, I'm going to go in detail with it a little bit, but I don't want you to get confused. This person or these persons use that same 8% tax deferred vehicle to make their money grow. They just did it in different time frames, okay? So Mr. Early, who was 25 years old, decided that he wanted to do something or save money. He saved $300 a month for the whole year, which equaled $3,600. He put that into an account that would allow it to grow. While it was growing, he just kept doing it every year. He only did it for 7 years, okay? So for 7 years, he put the money in there. While the money's sitting in this account, it's accumulating interest, okay? And it's also doing something called compounding. So what it would do is it would match itself every year wherever it was, and the interest also grew with it. So he did it for 7 years, and after 7 years, he decided, I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm going to leave my money there. But then you know what? I'm going to spend my $3,600 again on the things that I couldn't spend on because I was saving before. I'm going to spend on the things that I want. You have money to burn. You have money. $3,600 can take you on a nice vacation. He did it for additional 17 years, and he only invested 25,200 in the initial 7 years. He again let his money grow, and it went to $128,000 without him vesting for so many years. Now, the next gentleman, Mr. Longer, he was like, no, I want to party now. I want to get my groove on. I want to do whatever I want. Let me spend my money now. I got time to do it later. So he, for 7 years, did not do anything. Upon his 32nd birthday, he said, I need to change my game. Let me start saving money. He did the same thing that Mr. Early did, except for he started at 32. So at 32, he started saving that money. And then for 17 years, he saved the $3,600 a month, contributing $61,000. But if you look at the bottom line, when they're both at the age of 48, $128,000 compared to $131,000, it's not a big difference of money. It's a little over $4,000. But look how much Mr. Longer had to put in because he decided to start later than Mr. Early, who only put in $25,000. That's where the big gap is, okay? So you think you got time to do stuff later, but the earlier you start, the better it is for you. And that's just an example. We're not telling you to use this example for yourself. We're telling you to take your own numbers and see what that looks like. If you decided to save money for 17 years, what would that look like? You know, at whatever age you are, whatever amount of years you want to look at. If it's all the way up into your retirement, that's fine. But you really want to consider that, you know, what you do now will give you benefits in the future. And a lot of times people don't. So we talked about the rate of return in that formula before. And the rate of return was not something that I created, or yes, it was something that I learned about. The person who actually did this was Einstein. Einstein said, you know, he wanted to figure out what would it take for a person to double their money and what amount of time would it take at what percentage. And that's how the rate of return was created, and it's called the Rule of 72. So based on what he equated, he equated was for a person to double their money, say they had $10,000, and for a person to double their money and a certain percentage of 4%, it would take a person 18 years to double the $10,000. At that time they started, it was 29. And by the time they doubled, they were 47. But if you look at the three columns for the Rule of 72, the difference between the three of them is the amount of percent. It's 4% or 8% or 12%. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, there are so many vehicles out there that utilize these percentages to help your money grow. You just need to know what they are, where they work, and how you can apply your money to be in that vehicle. If you do this, say you do the 12%, what took the person at the age of 29 to double quicker was at 12%, it took them 6 years. They doubled their money at 6 years. So what we tell you to do with this Rule of 72 is to play with the percentages. There doesn't necessarily have to be an exact number. You can use these even numbers or you can use odd numbers, but how would you like your money to grow, and what vehicles are out there that will help you between the ratios of whatever percentages are out there? And there are many. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that you learn when you unveil how the Rule of 72 works. It's a very powerful tool, and it's very effective, showing you how interest works on money, okay? It also reveals two types of people. People who don't understand how money works, they end up working for money. People who understand how money works, let their money work for them. And that's the place that we're trying to drive people with this educational platform, is start looking at your money differently. Let money start working for you. You've already earned it when you go to work. But let some of that money that you've earned work for you too. So you're never out of money. Your money is working for you, and your money's smart, not money unsmart. I don't want to call people dumb, okay? But basically, you're not really smart about your money, right? And I think one of the things that you should understand from this, presentation is that a lot of people lack the knowledge about their finances. They don't understand and they don't care. And a lot of people don't have plans and do very, very little about saving. Savings is usually the point where you put your money into a savings account and you think, oh, I'm saving money that way. But putting money into a savings account does not allow it to grow, even if it's interest bearing. Banks and financial institutions do not put large percentages on your money. They put large percentages on their money because they use your money to grow their own passive income and keep themselves viable. So what that means is that if you put your money in a bank right now, anywhere in the United States, your money is only going to grow 0.1% based on the amount of money that's in that account, and that happens annually, all right? But the banks use everybody's money, and so their ratio or percentage of growth is around 10 to 12%. Wouldn't you like to have 10 to 12% growing on your money in your account? I would. I'm telling you right now, that will look really good. And I don't think that the stock market is bad, but the stock market means that there are higher risk. So with higher risk, you do have that potential of loss. But again, the banks aren't losing any money because they're making money on your money. And if you do go to them and ask them for money, a lot of times they won't give you money. So you need to understand how money works. You need to understand how to apply the rule of 72, and understanding compounding interest will make you see things in many, many ways. You can use it for many, many things. And further on in the learning curve of this financial education process, we teach all of those things. So I'm not going to go through all of the pages here, but these are exercises that you can do. Again, I tell you, use your own numbers, but you need to know what simple interest is versus compound interest. You need to understand the real rate of return and how it's applying. That means what's going on outside, how it's applying to you right now with the stuff that you're already doing, and see where you leverage. Inflation, I'm not going to go over, but believe me, it will be discussed more, especially on a one-on-one basis when we start really talking to people so they can move through this educational platform at their own speed. And then taxes. So taxes is a key point we want to, really focus on right now, because a lot of people think that the taxes don't apply to them. So a lot of times, if you work for yourself or you work for a company and they don't take taxes out, you have to wait annually to reconcile with the government, all right? And that's when you do your taxes, okay? But for those who go to work, they make money and they spend money and they try to save money, and then at a point in time when life has gone through its final journey, you die, you still have to pay taxes. And this is what this line is talking about, because the only thing that's real is death and taxes, all right? In a realistic way of speaking, right? But you make money, your pay is taken out from you, they do all these items and you pay taxes. Then you spend money outside, you buy this, you buy that, and then there's sales tax. And then when you save money, don't think putting your money in your checking account and your savings account is going to avoid you from taxes, because they take those taxes when you file your income taxes. And again, when you die, your estate, there's tax on your estate, there's tax on anything that's left over from after you've expired, and the government don't care. They just want to get paid. They're sitting out there with their hands open waiting for you to kick the bucket, because they really don't care. So understanding how taxes work, the history behind taxes, what are taxing issues, are real issues that we need to talk about and have a conversation about. This is not about getting in anybody's personal business. This is you looking at yourself, right? The other thing is taxes are going to always fluctuate. They go up and down. There are always new taxes. The wealthy don't get taxed for some things that the poor do. I mean, you really need to understand how taxes work. And it's a challenge, right? The tax base is shrinking from where it started, but there are so many debts out there, those mounting debts that are being applied that, it's a very wide spectrum of information that people need to look at and read about. And I'm hoping that you take the time and look at some of these pages that we're going through. There's also something called capital gains tax, right? We're not going to discuss this now, but I just want you to have a good overview of what this book entails. Now, what we are going to talk about a little bit is the tax positioning, right? So we have something called tax now, tax later, and tax advantage. When you look at the U.S. window, and this picture that's here in this blue box, these are the categories that usually are set up under these positions. This book is a little dated. This is a book from 2014 that you're viewing. The latest book has been updated for 2019. Those are the physical books that we have and that we'd like to get out to you. There is a difference between tax later and tax advantage, and that is only long-term care. Long-term care has shifted over to a tax advantage position, okay? Because the financial industry realized that they needed to fix something like that. But everything else applies. And so the most prevalent one that concerns people is tax now. You get taxed on everything that you do. From the time you open your checkbook or your wallet or your credit card, tax. But tax later talks about retirement, all right? And how those vehicles work and how you may be using it already. Tax advantage talks about how you can make your money work for you and keep it tax-free. So understanding how those three brackets work are an area that we're going to go into more as we move along with the workshops that follow these types of presentations. And I'm not going to go through this now. This is here for you to read. The other thing that we're going to talk about is, let me get to it. Can you build wealth? Yeah, you can build wealth, right? There are many, many strategies out there, things that you don't have to change about what you're doing. You're just operating differently, okay? So we're going to talk about building wealth and what that looks like. And the thing of it is that right now, you might not be thinking about your retirement, but you're healthy now. You might not have any illnesses. You might not be disabled. You might not be really you working for yourself. You could still be living with your parents. I don't know who all's on the phone, but if you have children, you need to take care of your family. So you really need to know what retirement looks like, and you really need to know what wealth formula will look like if you try to work with it. So this money plus time minus or plus the rate of return minus inflation and minus tax, that wealth formula that we talked about in the beginning is going to show up many times in this book because you have to connect the tools. So again, the whole overview behind this is if you want to have wealth, if you want to build security, you need to do these things. You need to spend less and save more. If you have the money to invest, you need to make sure it's in a vehicle that keeps it tax-free and that it's working and that it compounds and that it can potentially build up your wealth for you. You need to understand the rate of return. It's very important. It changes and fluctuates by what the government says and does, okay? The money that you earn at the rate of return, how is it affected by inflation? How are your single dollars being stretched for food, for expenses, for many, many things? And if you have money, understand what these investment vehicles are, how you can take advantage of the taxes, keep your money tax-free, and really prepare a nice foundation for even generational wealth, because there are such things as that. The last thing is, figure out what your future is for your retirement. It's important that you think about it while you're young, because if you take care of it now, you won't have to worry about it later when it comes creeping up on you. Many people understand concepts if they work on it. And I think that you possibly can do it too. We are going to really hit on debt management. I'm not going to go through everything right now, but you know what? Control your debt or your debt will control you. And I think nothing else needs to be said about that. Don't get more debt. Don't carry many credit cards, and understand how those credit cards and those accounts are structured. Spend money on necessities. It's really important that you don't overextend yourself if you're trying to get your financial picture in a better place. And make a list of all your debts. Clear the smaller ones first. If you have a mortgage, look and see if you can refinance it, or you can set up some type of prepayment plan. There are many, many strategies out there that can help people who are buying homes get in a better position for the cost of that home. And then the next part of this book, and we're not going to go in it any further than this, is understanding how we use money. It's called like a wave chart, a flow chart. They call it an X curve. The next presentation, as we progress further, and everybody might not progress at the same time because you might need to see this again, but when you're ready, the next section, part 2, will be the curve concept. And that'll give you more guidance on where you've been tripping or stepping into places where they're not working for you, and what the results look like, and then the potential for change and improvement using the tools that you're going to learn from these workshops. For me, that is it for the book. I know I said a lot, and I don't always want to be the one to talk, but I'm hoping that there were some questions that were asked before the time runs out so we can get back to some. Some of you, if you had questions and I don't get to you today, or we don't get to you today, can you please text that information to Sarah or to Ro, and we'll answer those questions for you. This platform is designed to re-educate everyone about how their finances work. The workshops, there are many workshops given different times of the day and week, mostly every day of the week. Since the pandemic, a lot of stuff has gone virtual. And it's our goal to make you just understand these concepts and just, start aligning yourself in a better place, because poverty is not a way of life.
And we're not slaves.
And you should not be depending on somebody else to tell you what your value is. There are many, many things that you will learn that you realize you were already doing. You just were not doing them in the right way. And that's because you weren't using the tools that were provided, or you didn't know them. And that is no one's fault. But when you're born into this world, you might be born into the world poor. If you die poor, that's on you. That was a choice that you made because you didn't want to make any efforts. And this is not about being poor or rich. This is about becoming your own money manager and understanding how you and other people are handling your finances, and how those finances play out in the life that you're living with yourself, your family, and your future generations. So I'm willing to take some questions if anybody has them for the time that we have left. And I hope to see many of you on the next call. This is a process that is not quick. Okay, you need to